I went here for work, but
Yeah,
where'd you go to school?
Northeastern.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Let's see. Hopefully, this is going live right now in front of the United States Supreme Court and right across the street, the U.S. Capitol. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. So we will be going live in, let's see, 5 minutes, 10 o'clock. So you can see this beautiful view. It's a beautiful day. And I was here on Tuesday and it was raining. I got soaked, and there was some speculation that the Supreme Court just might issue some important opinions. The two opinions that are very important for myself and for Moms for Liberty and for parents everywhere and for girls across the country are the two cases that can change everything in the fight for reality, for truth, and for the safety and protection of girls across America. Two cases that revolve around Title IX. 27 states in this country have laws that prohibit biological boys from competing on teams that are meant for girls, all female teams. At issue is that constitutional? Can states do this? Can states ban biological boys from all female teams? The question at hand is, what is the definition of sex? Because that question determines whether Title IX exists or it just doesn't. Because Title IX, which we just celebrated the 54th anniversary of June 23rd, 1972, Title IX was put into place. It's a law that was enacted by Congress in order to protect girls and to provide them opportunities that they did not have. That no educational institution could discriminate on the basis of sex. Now, unfortunately, in 1972, they didn't predict that the world would lose its mind and that suddenly doctors from Harvard couldn't tell you if men could get pregnant. They couldn't answer the question, what is a woman? If you ask them, if you ask some very intelligent people, can men menstruate? They will hem and haw and they won't tell you the truth, all because they're beholden to a gender ideology. So with that in mind, the Supreme Court has been asked to step in because there is a patchwork quilt of decisions on Title IX and whether or not it's discriminatory to not include gender identity in the definition of sex as per Title IX, which means can a boy who feels like a girl get all of the rights and privileges and protections of a biological girl? Our answer would be no. So be back in just a few minutes because I have a very special guest right across the street, Representative Tiffany. He represents the 7th District of Wisconsin, and he is currently running for governor of Wisconsin, my home state. And just recently, he was in a committee hearing one that involved SPLC, and it was about, if you haven't heard, SPLC has been indicted by a federal grand jury, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and Representative Tiffany gave a very strong and welcome speech about parents like myself, about Moms for Liberty, and defended us against the absolute smears and lies that have been peddled by the SPLC since 2021, leading to them declaring Moms for Liberty a hate group in 2023. So not only is Tom Tiffany a great congressman from Wisconsin, and not only did he defend us in the Judiciary Committee hearing, he also is a real hero to his constituents in New Richmond, Wisconsin, when he defended the girls who were begging their school board to please stop allowing boys to use their bathrooms. So we're going to hear all about that because Ella Frei, who's 17, and she is a girl who went viral, made national news because she stood up to her school board and she went public and she said, this isn't okay. So we're going to have her on. We're going to have Representative Tiffany on, and who knows who else. We're hoping if a decision is released, we hope to get some more people on to talk about it. And if maybe it's just me talking about it, and that's okay too. So stay tuned. Be right back.
Red flame in the cold night glow, Wisconsin wind and the stars all know. She's got fire where her heart should be, liberty's call, she answers free. Stepping hills, but she's still inside, no fear, no doubt, she won't hide. Capital lights on a battle cry, a mama lying, watch her rise. Words are weapons, truth a blade, in the chaos she's unafraid. Standing tall, she breaks the chain, crimson faith runs through her veins. Oh, they whisper you can't change it, she smiles, watch me rearrange it. Every vote, every voice ignite, for the mothers who won't lose sight. Lovers scarlet rising through the storm and smoke, voice of reason, every chain she broke. Liberty beats in her chest so loud, a freedom queen, a mother style. Crimson lights, Republican gold, this is the story the future told. Scarlet's flame, unbreakable, free, she's the power, the legacy. Moms united, hearts aligned, defending truth, they will not blind. Children's voices light the sky, they're the reason, they're the why. Born to blaze in the northern snow, Wisconsin roots, watch her grow. Constitution's ink on her soul, patriot mind control. No, she don't bend, she don't fade. Faith and family foundations laid, from freedom halls to every school. She's the queen who rewrites rule. Every scarlet rising through the storm and smoke, voice of reason, every chain she broke. Liberty beats in her chest so wild, a freedom queen, a mother style. Crimson lights, Republican gold, this is the story the future told. Scarlet's flame, unbreakable, free, mom for liberty, eternally.
Hey,
Hello.
Hi. You are live right now.
Duh.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, how are you doing?
Good.
All right. So we are, right now I am currently checking SCOTUSblog.com. So everyone, and this is all just live, checking to see, are there any opinions that come out? And so far, not about the cases that we're hoping. As you know, we're hoping for a decision regarding two very important cases: Hecox v. Little and West Virginia versus BPJ. And so, Ella, real quick, I want you to tell everyone your story. I know you've kind of told this story a lot, but what happened in your school and what caused you to speak up and to say something? You probably wasn't on your bingo card to be doing live streams about Supreme Court cases just a few months ago. So what has led you to this point right now?
So at my school, there was a biological boy using the women's restroom. And when we spoke up, the school board kind of shut us down. So then I kind of took matters into my own hands and I kept speaking and I kept pushing it and stuff like that and making videos. And there was a walkout and all the students were like telling our school board, like, hey, like this really matters to us. And then it got in the eye of the U.S. Department of Education and they launched an investigation on our school. And so from there, we've been kind of following up with all the information that they're putting out, but nothing yet, nothing big yet.
Well, there was a secret board policy that your parents, that a lot of people were not aware of, a policy that allowed boys who identified as girls to be treated as biological females. So basically just the proclamation, just the statement that I identify as a female meant that they could have the rights, the privileges, use the spaces and do anything they want as if they were a girl. That means they could join female team, they could use your bathrooms, they could use your locker rooms. But this is a policy that wasn't a policy. It was nowhere in the school board documents. Parents scratched their heads. They weren't sure how this happened. But simply, there was a non-discrimination policy that simply changed the definition of sex to include gender identity. And that pretty much just changed everything in your school district. And New Richmond School District is a rural community. It is a conservative community, borders Minnesota, but many of the residents are refugees from Minnesota. They don't want Minnesota-style wokeism in their area of Wisconsin. And many parents specifically voted on this very issue because in 2023, 2024, President Biden issued a rule that tried to change Title IX, and that was resoundingly rejected. And that rule never became law, never became enforceable. And now it's in the dustbin of history. But many parents came to school board meetings in New Richmond and said, we don't want this revision. And they voted in 2024 specifically on this issue, so that the school board did not listen to your parents, to community members, is telling. But Ella, you kids, teenagers, you girls, you knew as early as October, November that this was happening, that there was a boy, we won't name anybody, but the boy in your school district that suddenly now used a girl's name, grew his hair out a little bit, and was using your spaces. And it was frankly like freaking a lot of girls out, particularly freshman girls, 13, 14-year-old girls that went into the bathroom and they saw this boy, or they'd come out of the stall and they'd see a boy there. In fact, he was constantly hanging out in all of the different restrooms in your school. Even though he was an upperclassman, he was often in the lower classmen's bathrooms. And this became such a huge issue that finally some kids broke down and told their parents. So tell a little bit, like, when, I know you told me that you had a very good friend that just suddenly was like, oh my gosh, there's a boy in the bathroom, and that boy actually chased her out and said, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? So what happened? What was your first reaction when that happened to you?
It was really uncomfortable. Felt like violated of our space. And when I found out my friends were like having to go through that, it kind of pushed me out. I stopped using the bathrooms. I didn't want to like run into the boy or anything like that because that's a really uncomfortable situation. Um, and I think we didn't like tell our parents right away because I obviously knew that the boy was using the bathroom. Everyone knew, but it was kind of like normalized in our school. Like, um, it was like you have to be kind to them, you have to let them in. You have to share your spaces with them because that's like the kind thing to do. It was like really normalized in our school. And so I think a lot of people were scared or uncomfortable about speaking up about it since the large majority, like the school board and school teachers were teaching us that this is okay. And I think when we did speak out, we realized like there's a lot more people on our side than we realized. Like it's not okay. And there just wasn't a policy in place that made it real clear that it's not okay.
So now you did something really brave. So first of all, there was a school walkout. Describe what happened.
So with the school walkout, it kind of the night before, all the teachers and principals and stuff found out, and they sent out an email that if you did participate in the school walkout, you will not get like suspension or something like that if you stay on school property. But the whole plan was like they were going to go to the middle school, they were going to go downtown. So all these students knew the risk. And when it was time for them to do the walkout, everyone kind of just walked out. The teachers were at the door, like telling us like when to come back and stuff. Nobody came back. Like we walked all the way to the middle school. I wasn't out of school yet. I got out of school. I come downtown and I see a bunch of kids walking. I join in. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is for real. It never got shut down. And then all the middle school students were there. There was a bunch of signs. A lot of people were honking. And we kind of looped around and we stood on the corner with our big signs, yelling like what we were doing this for. Kind of like that one spot in town where everyone's like protesting. That's kind of where we went because the most eyes are there. And a lot of people found out about it and it got so many views online. It kind of just blew up. A lot of stories were told from it. And I don't think anyone got the suspension or anything like that. Nobody got the suspension, but the teachers kind of thought we were going to stay on school property and like protest from our yard. But at the same time, like who's driving by the yard? We wanted everyone to see what our issue was. And that's why we went downtown to like the most popular part of my town and everyone saw. It was really cool. It was really magical.
There was one sign in particular that I really liked that you were holding. You made lots of different signs. We had some great pictures of you, like just kind of on your floor in your house making signs. That you made a ton of them. Your mom said, like, I think like 50 at least. And one sign, a big neon pink. I'll let you say what did that say? And that's one I really liked. Oh, did you hear me? The sign. There was one sign. Can you hear me? Oh, hold on. There might be. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? You can't hear me? Okay. Oh, this is the hiccups of going live. Let's see. Hold on. We're going to redo. Can you hear me now? Here. Can you hear me now? All right, hold on. Hello. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I've got you, Scarlett.
Good.
I can hear.
All right,
I
good.
can hear Ella also.
Good. We solved that issue a little bit. Well, welcome. Thank you, Representative Tom Tiffany from Wisconsin's 7th District. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, great to join both of you here today. And Scarlett, I see you're in front of the Supreme Court.
Yes, and you're just right across the street.
Yeah, we're not far away.
Not too far away. And I am checking right now, checking SCOTUS blog, because there's a potential for two very important decisions to come out today. Hecox v. Little and West Virginia versus BPJ. And these are questions that are it's about Title IX, and 27 states have laws on the books. They have passed legislation that defines sex to be male and female and bans males, biological males, from participating in all female athletics. So these are the Saving Girls Sports Acts, the Protecting Girls Sports legislation that has been passed in Wisconsin, but vetoed by current Governor Tony Evers. Representative Tiffany, can you tell us a little bit more about this, and what would you do differently if you were to be elected governor of Wisconsin?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. And it's great to join you and Ella. Ella, thank you so much for the work that you've done. And great pleasure to join you here today. And Title IX is one of the bedrock laws that has given women equal rights here in America. And I think about stories like my sister told when way back in the 70s, when she got her first job teaching, she was also the basketball coach. And the basketball coach, the male basketball coach, was quite upset that he was getting paid the same as she was. She tells me about that story. And she ultimately talked it through with him and explained why she should be paid the same amount. But think about how much has changed since then over the last 50 plus years. And now you see this movement, which is really inexplicable, of trying to roll back these protections for women. I don't understand it for the life of me, but I can tell you that you put that bill on my desk protecting girls' sports, protecting girls' spaces like girls' bathrooms, I'll sign it into law.
Yes, thank you so much, because I have been in Wisconsin testifying before the state legislature and pleading for sanity. It just doesn't make sense that to veto a very simple, clean bill that just simply states that boys cannot participate in female sports in K through 12 education or at the collegiate level. Really simple. But that apparently is hate. It doesn't make any sense the way Governor Evers has been running our state on many levels, but on this issue, which Wisconsinites overwhelmingly, they support this legislation. It doesn't matter Republican, Democrat, left, right. It just makes sense.
This is one of those common sense issues that people are just like, how can we not do this? And so it truly is common sense to do it. But what's even more scary is that the people on the other side of the aisle that seek to succeed Governor Evers, they're going to do the same thing that he did. If that bill comes before the next governor and it's a Democrat governor, they're going to veto it. I mean, you can almost be guaranteed of that. I mean, when you think of the leading candidate at this point on the Democrat side, voted against a bill that prevents child grooming. I mean, think about that. It is insane, some of the positions that they are taking. And you know what? Somebody like Ella has felt that in the New Richmond School District, or should say she's experienced it.
She is currently experiencing that. Ella, how does that, does that make you feel, because you're going to be able to vote in the next election. Is this an issue that's important to you as a young girl?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like the face of it for my town, but I think there's a lot of girls that are in my position that feel the same way. And I think when it's our time to vote, I think things are going to switch up real quick with all the large population of girls coming in. And it matters to me a lot because this is like, it's the kids' future. Like for my middle school, girls that look up to me, they're going to have to come into high school. And if there's no policy laid down, it's going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be scared. And I don't want them to have to go through the same thing that the girls in my school district are going through right now.
Thank you so much, Ella, for standing up. Thank you for going to your school board and giving a speech. It is not an easy thing to do. As I'm sure Representative Tiffany understands, it can be the hardest thing to do, to stand before your own community publicly, all eyes on you, and to say how you feel about a very controversial issue. So I appreciate all that you've done.
Thank you.
It's a big thing. It's a big deal. Representative Tiffany, you've talked about some other candidates that are running for governor. I mean, we've got people running for governor that would replace the word mother and father, would literally erase them out of Wisconsin law, and instead would use terms like birthing person. This is shocking. Wisconsin has become like a national joke. I mean, this went viral when Representative Amanda Nidweski uncovered this plot, I think, to just erase mothers.
Yeah. So, it used to be that, and not that long ago, that we as Republicans or Democrats, we debated and argued about taxes and regulations and stuff like that. But now it's the very basics. It's the fundamentals of our society, the constitutional rights we have of free speech, our Second Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights. I mean, it's really become the very basic things, including what is a man, what is a woman, what is a boy, what is a girl. And it's amazing to watch this play out. But it's why it's so important that we have people like Ella who are willing to stand up and make the stand in defending the very basics of biology that no person can overturn. And to have people like Ella stand up and show courage, for me, I find it inspirational, and it reinforces why I am in this fight. Some people refer to it as the culture wars, but we have no choice but to engage on this. And I can assure you that I will be out there every day. So as the governor attempted to put inseminated persons in place of women in the state budget, last budget, they also put things in like other parent for dads. I mean, if there's anything that we've seen in society is we've got to make sure that dads are involved with their children's lives. And when there is that gap, when dads are not involved, it can be really harmful to children. And so they're doing it on all fronts. It's not just moms, it's dads also. And it's something we need to change. And I can tell you, we will refer to moms as mothers and dads as fathers when I write a state budget and when I take the actions as governor. We're going to get back to the basics, the common sense that most people expect.
Yeah, that's a good point that you made, that this isn't, yes, erasing mom and instead using inseminated person or birthing person or person who can be inseminated, all these different weird, silly terms. They also erase dads to be other parent, person who inseminates, person who gets pregnant, that gets her pregnant. I mean, not to take mom and dad out of state law. They've already been successful removing parents, removing mom and dad from curriculum. And I've seen that firsthand, that their curriculum in Wisconsin and across the country, curriculum that is often written by groups like Planned Parenthood, because Planned Parenthood provides 80% of the sex education, the human growth and development curriculum that is used in public schools. They've erased mom and dad, and instead they use different terms. Sometimes they'll just say, instead of saying boy and girl, they'll say friends. Instead of mom and dad, they'll say trusted adult, not mom and dad. Mom and dad are erased. And that to me says a lot about this agenda. It is an anti-family agenda.
It really is. And when they use the term, and you've seen it so many times, Scarlett, and perhaps Ella's even seen it now, where they hurl out the term racist and hate. And what they're trying to do at that point is shut down debate. They don't want to debate the issue when they throw that out. You saw it firsthand at the hearing we held a couple weeks ago in the Judiciary Committee when the Southern Poverty Law Center was there, and they threw out the term that you were racist, that Moms for Liberty were a racist organization. Yet they did not cite an example of saying that it was a racist organization, because they couldn't, and because Moms for Liberty are not. But when they throw those two words out, racist and hate, they're just trying to shut down debate. You should engage even more in that debate, because when we have debate, we win the issue, and common sense carries the day.
Ella, you can speak to this, and I'm not sure Representative Tiffany is aware of the extent of bullying that Ella has encountered, particularly online. There's one in particular social media group, this anti-Moms for Liberty group, that relentlessly has attacked Ella and her mother, calling her all sorts of names, including racist, homophobe, transphobe, all of the horrible things that the dog whistles that groups like Southern Poverty Law Center use to do just what you said, to stop the talking, to stop the debate, to make someone feel afraid to say something, to hope that there's enough people that look at them and say something to them that they'll just retreat and they won't continue to fight because they don't want people to think bad things. Ella, describe a little bit of what you've gone through and how you, as a very young girl, how you've been able to stay strong and stay in the fight and even speak louder.
Yeah, so after I spoke at the school board meeting, that whole group they started flaming me on the internet, and it got to the point where teachers were supporting the harassment and stuff within the students. It got really bad. And what kind of pushed me through to keep going with the fight, because my mom's like, Ella, if you want to be done, you tell me right now, I'll put the brakes. And I was like, Mom, no, the fight's not over. And the younger students is what kind of kept me pushing and inspiring other girls to start a movement within their school, because I know that I'm not the only one going through similar things like the bathroom policy. It's happening in other states as well. And so knowing that other girls are going through the same thing right now, I think it's really inspiring. If I push through and keep fighting, I think they will be inspired to keep pushing and fighting through everything. And the hate can be really loud sometimes and it can get really hurtful, but it's important to know that there's more people on your side than on the other side, and I think the other side is just really loud at times.
Representative Tiffany, what do you have to say when you hear these amazing words, but like it's a little heartbreaking that she has to go through this?
Yeah, it really is. And, I think for many schools, the administration, they just want it to go away. They're hoping that they'll have, one board meeting. I mean, like happened in New Richmond, where they just adopted a policy and they were hoping just to move on. And most people can be able to live their lives, whatever. But there's real consequences to those decisions. And we need people that are going to be brave, that will stand up. And that's why Ella's work and yours is so important, that you're willing to stand up. And that's one of the reasons why I believe in Wisconsin, we should establish a Parents' Bill of Rights. For example, when teachers do not share that perhaps a child of, let's say, 10 years old is saying they want to transition, and the teacher hides that from parents, I believe that is wrong to do that. I mean, these are minors, and they are the responsibility of their parents. So I think it's time to establish a Parents' Bill of Rights in Wisconsin, and just make sure that the basics are covered, that parents are parents and they should know what is happening in their schools with their children.
And, I have seen many Wisconsin GOP assemblymen and state senators, they'll go to caucuses or they'll go to meetings and they'll see parents like, why haven't you addressed this? Why don't you pass the Parents' Bill of Rights? And they don't understand that they have, that this has been passed, but there's no governor to sign it into law. It's really important. That component is very important. So the voice of the majority of Wisconsinites is not heard. And this happens not just in Wisconsin. This happens all over in areas where there is a Democrat governor, frankly. The will of the people does not get reflected. And so it's really important that if these issues matter to a parent, to a grandparent, and they should, because these are fundamental issues. Can an administration, a school administration, keep secret a child's gender identity, so-called gender identity? And usually when this happens, and Ella, you can attest to this, it's when kids are in middle school.
Scarlett, I can't hear you.
Oh,
You might.
can you hear me, Representative Tiffany?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay. Could you hear me before?
Yes.
Okay.
It was fine on my end.
Okay.
Again,
All
I
right.
hear
But so I know it's hard to go live. It's hard to go live. We'll have to do this again when it's not live. But so, Representative Tiffany, is this one of the reasons why you decided to run for governor?
It certainly is. Ella, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just can't hear Scarlett.
Yeah. So I think, Scarlett, I think you had a question for Ella. I can translate it. Go ahead and give it to me again.
Well, first, if you just let Ella know that one of the reasons why did you run for governor? I think this is one of those reasons. This is a really important issue, and I'm really glad that a common sense conservative like yourself decided to jump in and run for governor and make this one of your platform issues, because very few, believe it or not, very few, even Republican or conservative folks that are running, they won't make this a platform issue. And I've always scratched my head and wondered why.
Yeah, and the reason I do it is because it's common sense, and we all know that boys are boys, girls are girls, and we should continue to treat it that way. And, ultimately, this is meant to undermine American society. There are powerful actors around the world that, with the power of the internet and communications that we have, they can really try to disrupt America. America's the greatest country in the history of mankind. We celebrate 250 years, just, not too long from now, of this country that has emphasized liberty, freedom, independence, and personal responsibility, accountability. And there are countries that detest us for that. They don't like our freedom and how we are able to live as Americans. So they try to find any way to undermine us. This is one of the ways in which they do this. They attempt to confuse people, and they've been very successful at it at times. But that's why we need to stand up. We need to stand up proud and strong and defend the very basics of biology that cannot be undermined by just some people saying we view it differently. I mean, you simply cannot do that. And so I will always stand proudly for Title IX, defending women's rights to be able to have their own spaces in bathrooms and sports. And it is just the right thing to do. And it's important that we stand up when it's the right thing to do. And I'll continue to do that.
Ella, I think can you hear me now? I don't know if Ella, she can hear me. Well, thank you so much, Representative Tiffany, for coming on right now. It looks like I'm still waiting. We haven't yet had a decision on these two important cases. And as I let the viewers know when I started this, that if those decisions don't come down today, they will be handed down next week, Thursday. There were so many important decisions coming out that it was rumored that they would have to add another day to the docket. So we're still watching, we're still waiting, but it's very likely that these decisions are going to come down next week. But regardless, Representative Tiffany, in closing, these two cases, they involve states that have passed legislation that protect women and girls, their sports, and defend the definition of Title IX to be male and female. There are a lot of legal scholars that have said, including our friends at Will, Kristen Wagner of Alliance Defending Freedom, that Congress needs to act and Congress needs to define Title IX. That is something that Congress can do. Could you speak to that as a congressman? Like what's the call to action? What can our representatives do? What should parents be doing? And how important is it for those who are in states that do not have this legislation to continue to be engaged and involved so that changes?
So parents they should be contacting us, urging us to take action, and we can take action federally. I'd have to go back and look, but I suspect that there is a bill that has been authored this session in regards to this. I'd be very surprised if there isn't. But I can assure you of one thing. Not only can Congress act, but also states can act. And that's one of the reasons why I am running for governor is let's make sure that we are defending Title IX. Let's make sure we're defending girls and women, and we can take action at the state level. And I can assure you that I will if I become the next governor of Wisconsin. And thank you to you, Scarlett, and thank you, Ella, for all the for standing up for what's right and what's for common sense. You will ultimately be rewarded.
Thank you so much, Representative Tiffany, for coming on. I know that I will see you soon, actually, because we're going to be at the same event on Sunday in New Richmond, Wisconsin. So we'll all three be able to see each other in person, which is pretty awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've got a busy schedule, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
You too. Bye. Ella, hold on. Can you hear me?
I don't know why I can't hear you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Stay there. Hold on.
Okay, I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I don't know what happened, but yeah, thank you for you did a good job of pretending like you could hear. And this is what happens when going live, but we've got some really good clips from that. I know my video is probably not the greatest because I'm like directly in the sun here, but I'm checking again. Let's see if there's anything. So what did you think? I want to get your opinion. What did you think of what Representative Tiffany had to say? And I'm still on. I'm just removing myself so I can adjust my camera and not be in the direct light. But what are your thoughts after listening to what Congressman Tiffany, who is running for governor of Wisconsin, what he had to say?
So when you first, like a podcast ago, when you first told me that like all these states were getting like the Title IX rights and stuff, I was super excited. And you're like, but you're not one of them. And I was like, what? And I was super surprised. And so now it kind of makes me want to like fight harder to get Tom in there to change things because I did not know that we were going to be like one of the states.
Yeah, that we are one of the 23 that have not passed this legislation, even though, shout out to Representative Barb Dietrich, and to a very good friend of mine and who's been a great friend of Moms for Liberty, Representative Dan. You have been Dan Knodel, and he was a senator until Governor Evers redrew the lines of our districts, and then he became a representative again. But he has been so helpful, so supportive of legislation that protects women and girls, their sports, their private spaces, that removes DEI and gender ideology out of our education, and bills for parental rights, to protect parental rights. But yeah, it's pretty infuriating, isn't that? Wisconsin, there are people in Wisconsin, like some members of the school district that you're in, that just simply refuse to see the writing on the wall. That the direction that this whole debate is going is not in the direction of the woke gender ideologists. It's going in the other direction. Case after case has been building up to this moment where we are right now in front of the Supreme Court. And most lawyers that I'm talking to that are experts, or constitutional experts, think that there's going to be a good ruling when these decisions come out, one that allows for states to define sex and to interpret Title IX to be the protection of biological girls and women. But it's how far that language will go. Will that language extend to the point that it will bolster the case of many public interest law groups like WILL, Alliance Defending Freedom, Southeastern Legal Foundation, that take pro bono, as they did in New Richmond, Wisconsin? They take on cases where they are defending the Constitution and they're defending women and girls. They're heroes. You are right now. There's a lawsuit with the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty. That what has your experience been with these pro bono groups, like with WILL?
You have to take an entire class.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just want to, because I think a lot of girls your age, they can be afraid to say something, but when you're working with these excellent legal teams, they're great, right? I mean, they're really kind, they're supportive, and if you want your name out there, it can be. If you don't, it doesn't have to be. And so what has your experience been?
Yeah, so they've been really helpful, especially on kind of making things a little easier for us, like writing different stories on my story of my town. They published some different things, and they've kind of just helped keep all like the legal work and answer all those hard questions that obviously I can't answer.
Yes, they don't expect you to do the legal work. Like you are the plaintiff, and whether you want your name out there or you don't, they do that work for you, and so you can challenge these policies, and we have to have more girls like you that are willing to speak, and more parents that are willing to stand behind them, and they don't need to be afraid to call and contact a legal group, one of these public interest legal groups, and just say, hey, what are my rights? This is happening to my daughter. My daughter, when she just walked into the bathroom and there was a boy there. What do I do? What can I do? Now, most of the time, it's not going to be go to court. That's very rare. But there are lots of things that you can do, and that these groups, they can help you to empower yourself. Moms for Liberty is one of those groups. We help empower parents and kids and families, grandparents, so that you guys can fight back, so that you can stand up, know your rights, and assert them and be empowered. So it's not just outrage. Oh my gosh, outrage. It's, oh, here, this is happening. Yeah, I'm outraged. But now what do I do next? And that's where Moms for Liberty steps in. We help tell you, here's what you can do next. And that's where we've been successful. And that's why, we have a lot of haters, because when you're, what people often say that, you're over the target when you're getting, that's how you know you're over the target. When they're just shooting all those arrows right at you, that's how you know, hey, we're onto something. Oh my gosh, it's a little hot out here. So Ella, and I won't keep you on much longer, what advice do you give? Right now it's summer, but are you already training for the summer? For the fall, I mean?
Oh yeah. Volleyball, I got done with track and I hopped right into volleyball. We're already starting open gyms and stuff. July is like a really packed month. We have a bunch of leagues that I have to go to. Tryouts are coming up, like contact days. I'm already in it.
Yes, because you're about to start your senior. And what we actually, you made some great videos. We posted some videos. I know that you put some videos on your social media about the sport that you're in and what this means to you. Your mom sent me one of the videos this morning, and you said that you're in track and field, you do the long jump, you play volleyball. Just tell us a little bit about that video, what you said and what it means to you.
So in the videos, I kind of was talking about like realistically what a safe sport is. And I get a lot of people that are like, well, if you don't want to be in a contact sport with male volleyball players, then why don't you just go do your individual events and stuff like that? And I think a great point that has been brought up multiple times is that it only takes 3 biological males to enter in the women's Wisconsin track and field events, and not a single real girl will stand on the podium. There's so many biological differences that males have advantages over women, and when they come into our spaces, they are slowly going to take over. And I think the main point in the video is kind of questioning people like, where is my safe space and what sport should I be doing then that is in a safe place for women. And also in the video, I kind of just talked about how women train really hard for their spots, and no amount of training could ever make them equivalent to a male's performance.
Yes, that's really important, because I think that a lot of folks who have never participated in competitive athletics I think, and a lot of them are, if you go right across the street, there are a lot of, and some of them are women, unfortunately. They're right across the street, there are representatives or senators that they will pontificate, and they'll say things like, train harder. No, you don't, oh, that the boy is beating you, train harder. Too bad for you. They clearly have not played a competitive sport. Maybe they did a rec sport or something when they were in 5th grade. But I have daughters who have competed middle school, actually elementary school, middle school, high school, and then college. And you can't train harder when you're 5'7" and the guy on the other side is 6'4" and 210 pounds, and you're 5'7" and 120 pounds. You can't train harder when you're trying to guard that guy playing basketball. Okay, that's a recipe for disaster. There's girls that'll get hurt. Now, in track and field, and we've seen a lot more of boys participating in girls' sports in track and field, because these are kind of like solo events. Although they're not, right? Because you operate as a team. So at the end, there's medals, and you move up in a competition based on how the whole team does. And there's a lot of events that require teamwork. So you see males entering those sports because, oh, well, no one's getting hurt. No one's getting hurt. What about the fact that, like you said, there are males standing on the podium in first, second, third place, and this is a female competition? That kind of hurts. Or what about when scholarships are lost? Or when a girl who should have made the varsity team doesn't because her spot's been taken by a male? And what about the psychological harm? And the fact that a lot of girls just might say, I'm not going to participate in athletics, and they miss out on all those opportunities. I think that's harm. I think that hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah, and you can, and that's kind of what your video said. So in closing, advice to other girls, and talk about, just give us a run through, like, all the work that goes into your high school athletics. When school starts in volleyball, how early do you have to get up and train? How many weekends do you sacrifice? Do you get to party all summer, or do you have to continue to work all summer? Because that's going to be what's required of you to be competitive in the fall.
Yeah, so I think right now is a good example for me because our training started right when my track season ended. I can't remember when my track season ended, but I remember the next week I had my first open gym. And so twice a week at like 9:30 in the morning to 11, we are doing our open gyms. And as a senior, I get to help like run it and be like the influence of it. And then we do that for the whole month. Then we have our varsity league where everybody you go play a bunch of teams. And then sooner than later, you have your contact days when your coach gets to come watch and like make like analyzing thoughts on your performances. And then here's tryouts. So basically my whole summer is volleyball right now, and as well as going to the gym because you have to have your muscles good so you don't pull anything at volleyball. So that's kind of what every week has looked like. It's volleyball, gym, and it's going to be that way all the way up until the real volleyball season. There's a lot of training just to get ready for the volleyball season. So training harder. How many days would you like me to train every week? Like I'm already training a lot. And I think, I don't know, it's kind of insulting for them to just say that because obviously they've never had their whole summer training for a sport.
That's exactly it. I mean, train hard. It's not possible to train hard. I just talked to Sophia Laurie, who was a collegiate champion in her sport of soccer. She said she achieved all of her dreams. Full ride scholarship, went to the college of her dreams, did everything she wanted to do in her sport. She says that when she was 3 years old, when people asked her, what do you want to be? And she said, I want to be a college soccer player. Like she loves soccer. Her brothers, she's the only girl, she had, I think, 2 or 3 brothers. And during COVID, she said, they're a little younger than her. They're kind of eating some chips, playing video games, watching TV, and she's training. She's training because she's like, well, as soon as this COVID thing's over, I want to be ready. I want to still be competitive. So she's training every day. She's running more, challenging herself. And mom says, hey boys, go out and get some exercise with your sister. Go help, basically get outside. What a mom would do, like get outside, stop, got to go do something. So her brothers, who are younger than her, they play soccer, but they weren't trying quite as hard as she was. She said she would run the same drills with them, and she's like, oh my, like they're just running circles around me. They can do so many more pull-ups. They can do so many more push-ups. Their time was better. All of this, and at first she was a little hard on herself, thinking, gosh, I don't get it. But then she, did her research, and she's like, wait, it's just biology. It's just the fact that their muscle mass, the way that boys are made, there's certain things that they can do, and they're different than girls. Not better, different. Men and women are different. There are things that we do differently. And that is why, and you said this in your video, the volleyball net isn't quite as high for females as for males. Why the size of a basketball is smaller for girls. than for boys because girls have smaller hands. There's accommodations made in sports, even in same-sex sports. Like, you don't throw a 160-pound guy into a ring. Like, we just in DC at the White House, they had a big, it's like a really cool match, and they didn't put 140-pound, 160-pound guys in with 200-pound guys, because that wouldn't be fair. That would just be brutal. No one wants to watch a beatdown like that unless you're a little sadistic. You want to see fair competition, right? So why are there these people, this small group of like so-called progressives that just want to pretend that biology doesn't exist, and that for some reason that a man can just wish away all of his biology, not just his, not just genitalia, but wish away everything, muscle mass, all of the things, the size of the lungs, all of that. I just don't get it. And I'm older than you. I can't imagine how confused you must be. Can you hear me? Oh, you might. I think I did my rant and then she couldn't even hear it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. We had another hiccup. I basically just went on a big rant about how unfair it is that don't you just love doing things live? I know when you're recording, you get to like, oh, I'll just edit that out. I just went on a rant about how it is that there are people that can look you in the eye and just deny reality. So, and if it's confusing for me at my age, how confusing it is for you.
Yeah.
And you've experienced that with some of the haters, let's call them that, who work in your school district. Can you describe that a little bit? Because that part, that kind of enrages me. Without saying names, are there adults that have jobs in your school district that are basically, I would call it bullying, but they are not being very nice to you?
Yeah. So there's definitely a little group of teachers that encourage the harassment students and also kind of leave hateful things. And there's like one teacher in particular that just, I don't know, her kids are involved in it too. Like, I don't know how to explain the situation, but one of the teachers at my school has like a kid that subs in and then a kid in the school. And apparently one of the kids in the school just keeps talking about my situation. I was like, how can they just keep talking about it? And I asked my mom, she's like, well, you're probably the topic of discussion at their dinner table. I'm like, that's really sad that they can't talk about other things at the dinner table. Like,
that is sad. And I don't want to go too into it, but just the fact that there are adults that feel that that can think for 1 second that it's appropriate to harass and name call a student online. I think that's so wrong. And I know that if it were the other way around, I can't even imagine what would happen. And that's really unfair.
yeah.
And I think that, but that fact that you continue to speak out and you continue to stand up, that's what bravery is. It's not, bravery doesn't mean that you are not afraid. It means that even when you are afraid, you just keep doing the right thing. And I'm so glad, Ella, that you just keep doing the right thing again and again. And before we go, I just love your shirt. Let everyone know. Let everyone know about it, because we're going to do a shout out to our friend Jennifer Say and XXXY Athletics. So how did you get that shirt? And how does it make you feel when you're wearing it and you're out in public? Does anyone comment on it? Do they ask you questions?
When I went to that rally, I wore one of her like American shirts, and this lady was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your shirt. where did you get it? And I had a big conversation. I was like, yeah, so the co-founder and owner of the company saw a video of me online, and I said there was a male using my restroom, and they're like, oh, what? And I'm like, yeah. And so Jennifer reached out and asked if she could send me a bunch of clothing, and I was so ecstatic. I was like, yeah. And a big package showed up on my door, and it was crazy. And in fact, before the rally, I was like, I really hope these shirts get here because I would like to wear one of the shirts for the rally. And she's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna send out another package and do express shipping so it shows up tomorrow night just in case you don't get the other packages. And so she has express shipped one of the shirts that I wore to the rally. And yeah, in public, I'm walking around and I'm like, yeah, this is the tea. But I don't know. My mom's obsessed. I got stuff from my dad for Father's Day from her too. So my dad's loving all of it. And the quality's just, yeah, my mom was really jealous when I got a big package.
Oh, that's so nice. That's great. She's wonderful. Well, Ella, I'll let you say the closing line because it's been an hour, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule on I don't know how it is, Wisconsin. It's a beautiful sunny day here, but what is your advice to girls who are either they are in a situation where there is a biological male using their spaces, biological male that's allowed to play on their team, or they're a girl that can't even bear the thought of it, that wants to say something but is worried about saying something. She wants to be proactive like you are and say, you know what, I'm going to head this off at the pass. I don't want boys in my spaces. I don't want boys on my team. So I'm going to speak out right now because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. My grandma said that, and she's right.
Yeah, if I could say one thing to them, it would be speak up and maybe find a group of girls that are going through the same thing that are willing to help you. And you don't have to put your name out there publicly like I am. You can kind of stay anonymous and make a complaint. And when people tell you that your voice doesn't matter, like this issue is not going away, just know that it does matter. And there's a lot of people that agree with you and that are on your side. And the hate can seem loud sometimes, but there's a whole lot of love that comes with the people that are agreeing with you and that just want the best for the case in whatever case you're going through.
Have to unmic. I was muted. Ella, thank you so much for coming on. You are very wise and brave for your age. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday when I will be in New Richmond, Wisconsin for a Faith, Family, and Freedom event. Very excited about that. It's a beautiful area. It's absolutely actually pristine. It's gorgeous, and I can't wait to come with my family and talk about faith, family, and freedom. So Ella, have a great day. Thank you for coming on. And just an update for everybody. Hecox v. Little and West Virginia versus BPJ, those opinions were not released today. And according to SCOTUSblog.com, I think they're coming out on Monday. So we keep waiting. So, but when those decisions do come out, we'll be talking about it. I may not be live here, but I'll be talking about it. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to this live. And thank you for kind of the issues with sound and all that when you're live outside. This is what it can be. There's no Wi-Fi or any of that. Thank you, Ella, for coming on. And thank you, Representative Tiffany, for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us and talking about your commitment to saving girls' sports, to parental rights, and to opposing this radical woke agenda in the state of Wisconsin. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ella. Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone, and keep fighting.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.